motivated, like I always say, we chasing right now. I believe we are locked in. I believe we know what we're capable of. We just got to keep showing it day in, day out. Just keep getting better each and every practice.
Here's how Week 17 can be a special clinching moment for the Ravens. If they win, they would lock up the 1 seed for the playoffs. A loss, we would have to see how the final 2 weeks play out across the AFC. The Ravens can also lock up the AFC North. If they win or tie Miami, it's theirs. The same with the next Cleveland loss or tie. The Ravens have a 2-game lead right now in the North. The Browns host the Jets tomorrow night and end the season at Cincinnati.
All right, let's get one more check of that 7-day forecast. Speaking of the Ravens, right now it looks like a good game day forecast. Somewhat chilly. That's good news, I think, bringing in the guys from Miami, right? They may not like that. Otherwise, though, we can see it's a drier, colder start to the new year Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. Basically, all the wet, messy weather is out of here by late morning on Thursday, and that sets the stage for a better last weekend of 2023.
Well, coming up on Fox 45 News at 6, another juvenile arrested for stealing a car, this time on Christmas Eve. The growing frustration as Baltimore inches closer to 11,000 auto thefts this year. And the back and forth surrounding a ban on menthol cigarettes continues. The latest roadblock and how it could affect next year's election.
A violent holiday weekend taking the life of a teen in southwest Baltimore. A look at the investigation as crimes against juveniles continue to rise. Car thefts in the Baltimore area could hit 11,000 by the end of the year. The latest incident in the ongoing crisis and how police track down the suspect.
Hey, Mary, we continue to track our wet weather maker bringing lots of rain to Baltimore. We'll talk about when this whole system finally clears the area.
Live from WBFF in Baltimore, this is Fox 45 News at 6.
Good evening, everybody. I'm Mary Bubala. Thanks so much for staying with us tonight. Fox 45 News tracking storms across Maryland and the impact that they could have on the rest of our week. Right now, we're going to look at our weather radar tracking conditions across our region. Wow, a gray and gloomy Towson and Inner Harbor. You might want to keep your umbrellas handy for most of the night, a little bit of the morning, because it looks like those on and off showers we're seeing are here to stay. Let's check in with meteorologist Wyatt Everhart for a closer look at our forecast. Wyatt?
Yeah, Mary, no doubt. Downpours on and off, but we're also seeing the fog at times getting denser and thicker in areas, so we have to watch for that as well. Rain fetched coming all the way up the 95 corridor. The heaviest, worst weather is literally along our busiest road in Maryland right now, right up and down 95. Extends all the way up into Bel Air and Elkton, and we're going to keep the rain coming for several more hours this evening. Also mist, fog, reduced visibility, so all of it just kind of an ugly night out there, but we do see the end in sight as we push into the day tomorrow. Otherwise, mild conditions. If there's a silver lining to all this messy weather, we certainly have stayed on the mild side. That's going to continue tonight. As rain finally tapers off into the morning hours, we'll still keep the chance for some dense fog around. We'll talk about how much things clear out by Thursday afternoon and how much colder they may be for the start of the new year. That's coming up.
Wyatt, thank you. Put the power of the Weather Authority Storm Center in your hands. Download the free WBFF Weather Authority app for your smartphone. Use our powerful Doppler radar to follow storms right down to your street. Just go to the App Store, search WBFF to get started. Well, with just days left in 2023, Baltimore City is on the brink of recording 11,000 auto thefts in a single calendar year. That is a 215% increase from last year. And it comes after city leaders warned of a rise in juvenile auto thefts last month.
In the back of the Wendy's, should be a Honda parked over there. Just check that tag on that, and I'm going to keep an eye on this kid. He walked over to the liquor store down here off of York Road.
That dispatch audio revealing coordination between BPD's helicopter, the Foxtrot, and officers on the ground to track down a juvenile for a suspected auto theft on Christmas Eve. Fox 45's Amy Simpson has a closer look and the latest incident in the city's juvenile crime crisis.
Baltimore's Northern Police District, just after 9 p.m. on Christmas Eve.
Foxtrot, over.
Good, Foxtrot.
BPD's helicopter Foxtrot on alert after reportedly spotting a car driving crazy.
That's our car. You have any units near Reddy Avenue where the Wendy's at off of York Road and check a tag on a Honda?
Tracking a situation just south of the Baltimore County line along the York Road corridor.
In the back of the Wendy's, should be a Honda parked over there. Just check that tag on that, and I'm going to keep an eye on this kid. He walked over to the liquor store down here off of York Road.
From the sky, Foxtrot appearing to describe that suspect, down to the logo on his shoes.
Let me just put the description out. He's a #1 male. He has on gray sweatpants with stripes, gray New Balance tennis shoes, and like a black jacket with a mask.
And within just 6 minutes,
Coming back 10:30. 10-4. 2017 Honda Civic, 4-door black.
dispatch revealing that car was reported stolen from North Baltimore more than a week ago.
Stolen auto, taken December the 16th at 2018 hours.
In a post yesterday, police announcing an arrest from what unfolded on that night before Christmas, saying the suspect, a 16-year-old boy, was taken into custody, then to the city's Juvenile Justice Center. This juvenile arrest, just the latest in a wave of kids and teens accused of stealing cars in Baltimore City. In early November, Baltimore Mayor Brandon Scott and Police Commissioner Richard Worley said this year juvenile auto thefts were up 166%. The mayor revealed some of those suspects were repeat offenders.
There's 30 young people alone that have been arrested multiple times for carjackings and stolen autos.
Heading into 2024, Baltimore braces to see if the trend continues and if auto theft suspects will be found and held accountable. Amy Simpson, Fox 45 News.
Children committing violent crime is a top concern for Baltimore area residents. Earlier this month, an 18-year-old and 3 juveniles were arrested for an armed carjacking in a Starbucks parking lot on Charles Street in Towson. Then there was an assault and attempted carjacking caught on camera in Butchers Hill. Police say a 12 and 14-year-old were arrested in that case, but released just 2 hours later after a call from DJS. Last Wednesday at a Fox 45 town hall, residents took their frustrations to current and former leaders.
I've talked to parents who are afraid to send their kids to school because their classmates are carjacking and carrying guns. So parents need to be held accountable as well.
I have a half dozen neighbors who live on my street who have been physically assaulted over the past 18 months, and 2/3 of those assaults have occurred in broad daylight. So what I'm interested in learning is, what are you going to do tomorrow?
Well, throughout this year, young people not only committed more violent crime, they actually fell victim to it as much as well. Fox 45's Alexa Ashwell has details surrounding a young teen shot in South Baltimore.
This shooting happened the day after Christmas, and while investigators have not yet released any further detail, this case is the latest juvenile to fall victim to gun violence.
I just received a call in reference to a shooting.
It was just after 6 in the evening on the day after Christmas when Baltimore police say officers were called to Annabelle Street in South Baltimore's Brooklyn neighborhood in reference to a shooting. At the scene, they say the officers found a 13-year-old who had been shot. The young teen was rushed to a nearby hospital as investigators began collecting evidence and interviewing any witnesses. The department not yet saying what led up to the shooting. The teen is one of nearly 100 juveniles who have been shot in non-fatal shootings across Baltimore so far this year. That's a more than 30% increase compared to what the city ended with last year. The Brooklyn Day mass shooting, arguably the most notable, with juveniles accounting for about half of the 30 victims shot back in July. And while homicides are slightly down, so far this year, 16 young people have lost their life to violence.
He was not just a statistic.
Michelle Hines' son, Isaiah Carter, one of those victims. The 16-year-old junior ROTC cadet was shot and killed just yards from Patterson High School back in March. The mother traveling to Annapolis to speak out about the juvenile crime crisis and challenge the Department of Juvenile Services and lawmakers to do more.
Having these kids know that they're going to get a smack on the wrist, of course they're going to get away with this crime. We're literally creating repeat offenders with the laws we have in place now.
That was back in October. Since then, a dozen more juveniles have fallen victim to gun violence, including the 13-year-old shot one day after Christmas.
I asked, but Baltimore police wouldn't say when I questioned if anyone has been taken into custody or any arrests made. We'll continue to follow this investigation as it develops. Alexa Ashwell, Fox 45 News.
For our full coverage on the youth crime crisis, head to foxbaltimore.com. As Baltimore is set to mark a major milestone of less than 300 homicides in 2023, more than 200 families are going through the holiday season this year without a loved one. A prayer walk to honor those lives lost is happening right now at St. Joseph Monastery Parish. According to Baltimore police, 258 people have been killed in the city this year, and organizers of the prayer walk say the number is still too high. During tonight's event, the names of those victims are expected to be read while candles are lit in their honor. Fox 45 spoke with many of the families who lost loved ones, like the brother of Fabian Gonzalez, the T-Mobile employee shot and killed during a robbery in Canton, and Crystal Gonzalez, the mother of Aaliyah Gonzalez, the 18-year-old shot and killed in the Brooklyn Day mass shooting.
It breaks our heart to know that we lost my brother to two criminals run wild in this city. We want justice for my brother. That we want Brandon Scott to fulfill, to protect this city, run this city from crime.
My daughter, Aaliyah, she's been all over the news, and every time I see her pretty face on the TV, I'm like, she's not supposed to be there.
Event organizers say tonight's walk helps keep victims' memories alive and shows their loved ones they do have a support system here in Baltimore. Fox 45's Vincent Hill is at St. Joseph Monastery Parish right now. He will be bringing us a full report tonight on Fox 45 News at 10. Well, new tonight, high school students from Baltimore and Silver Spring are being charged in a series of robberies in Howard County. On November 8th, a boy walking along Riverside Circle in Ellicott City was mugged. Police say two young female suspects in masks pulled a gun on the victim and stole his phone. Around the same time, similar robbery reported in the same neighborhood. Police say the suspects are 14 and 15-year-old. Both are from Baltimore. Well, 3 days later, two masked teens approached a woman who was unloading her car in front of her home on RJ Circle in Ellicott City. Police tell us the boys threatened her with a gun and stole her purse. An 18-year-old and a 15-year-old from Silver Spring facing charges for that robbery. Coming up after the break, a popular news organization taking aim at ChatGPT. Why it says the AI platform is illegally stealing its content.
I'm Christine Frizzell with a look at the contentious debate over menthol cigarettes, now that a plan to ban them has been delayed once again. Making headlines, the New York Times is suing OpenAI and Microsoft for copyright infringement. In the lawsuit, the Times alleges the company's artificial intelligence technology illegally copied millions of the news organization's articles to train ChatGPT. As a result, the Times says the technology is now competing with their own company. The news organization is seeking an unspecified amount of monetary damages, as well as the, quote, destruction of AI models that incorporate its journalism. Meanwhile, tonight, a proposed ban on menthol and flavored cigarettes by the FDA was put on hold. And while the tobacco industry is celebrating this delay, public health advocates say it's a blow to a decades-long push to ban a product they say harms communities of color more than others. Here's national correspondent Christine Frizzell with a look at both sides of the debate.
And everywhere you look, happy smokers are enjoying a new kind of filter cigarette.
Advertisements for menthol cigarettes may have looked like this in the 1950s.
Your mouth feels clean, your throat refreshed.
But before long, they looked more like this, with full-page ads featured in Essence, Ebony, and Jet magazine, and billboards popping up in communities with large African-American populations.
When the tobacco industry infiltrated our media and supported them when other corporations, other groups didn't want to advertise with Black people at that time.
Carol Magruder says it's one reason 83% of African Americans smoke menthols, a ban on the flavored cigarettes by the Biden administration now put on pause.
In the past 20 years, we've lost about 1 million Black people to tobacco-induced smoking at the rate of about 45,000 people a year.
But opponents call it government overreach and warn of unintended consequences should the ban be implemented.
I just fear that the ban on flavored tobacco, again, most especially menthol, will just add another layer of complexity to the relationship between law enforcement and communities of color.
Reverend Markel Hutchins warns it could lead to more incidents like the death of Eric Garner in 2014, who died after police put him in a chokehold for unlawfully selling cigarettes on the street. While the ban would prevent manufacturers from being able to sell menthol cigarettes, he and other critics call it a public health issue, not a public safety one.
We've got to get out of this posture of trying to criminalize or arrest our way to a more healthy or hopeful society.
Another unintended consequence could be for Joe Biden in the 2024 election. If the new law goes into effect, some warn he could lose support from black voters. It's support that's already been declining at a rapid rate. One recent poll showing that despite an 86% approval rate from black voters in January of 2021, it's now slipped to 60% now. I'm Christine Frizzell reporting.
Well, if you were hoping to get your hands on Apple's hottest new smartwatch, you actually still have a chance. Earlier this week, a ruling from the U.S. International Trade Commission banned Apple from importing the Apple Watch Series 9 and Apple Watch Ultra 2 over patent violations. But today, a federal appeals court temporarily blocked that import ban. And while the patent dispute winds its way through the legal system, it's unclear when the watches will go back on sale at Apple stores. They're still available at third-party locations like Amazon or Target. Amazon Prime, speaking of video, has announced it will begin rolling ads and commercials during shows and movies starting on January 29th. Amazon says the ads will allow them to continue investing in compelling content, maybe I should say, for a long period of time. Customers do have the option of paying an additional $2.99 per month if they want to continue to watch Prime Video without seeing the commercials. Customers can pre-register for that ad-free option right now at Amazon's website.
All right, take a look out there, Mary, huh? Nice mess that we've got going. And look, I will say this, the fog has lifted a little bit over downtown for the moment, but I think at times that fog is still going to ramp back up tonight. So we're watching the roads with wet conditions, with downpours at times, and we're watching at times some patchy, dense fog still out there, still lurking, if you will. Take a look on our HD radar. You can see that moisture just streaming all the way up from Fredericksburg, even really Richmond, all the way up the 95 corridor to the state line there in Wilmington, Delaware. So we're going to continue to see wet weather on our busiest road here for another couple of hours. Give yourself extra time tonight wherever you're headed. Heaviest rain right now actually setting up over Baltimore itself. Now, looking at the big picture here now, you can see we have tremendous amount of cloud cover and moisture. Some of those low clouds will also make their presence felt. So at times we've had less than half a mile visibility. Now we can see the stadium again, but it wouldn't surprise me in another hour or two to have it go back the other way again. 1 mile visibility at the top of the hour at BWI, and that's an indication of less than 10% of the normal visibility. Widespread low 50s, mild, widespread rain. Fog, which is tough to model, looks to get at times a bit denser through the night, especially places like Columbia, maybe Westminster on the west side, and also on the eastern shore, especially into the morning hours. You may find some continued dense fog out toward the beach areas if your travels take you in that direction. Just give yourself that extra time. Otherwise, again, overnight tonight, just staying wet and misty. And as we look ahead, we finally get this whole system out of here tomorrow. By afternoon, we're talking about clearing skies. A nice Thursday afternoon, drier and colder weather sets up for the start of the new year. But in the meantime, we're still socked in with not just the moisture, but milder conditions out ahead of our cold front positioned well to the west still. I don't think much changes other than getting rid of the rain as we go into the day tomorrow. But ultimately, things will get colder and drier into the weekend. We're going to check that extended 10-day forecast coming up in just a few.
Weather Window, presented by the National Weather Desk.
The last full moon of 2023, known as the cold moon, occurred last night and put on a show across the country. In southern Maine, it rose over a foggy lake. In Alabama, it combined with high, thin cirrus clouds to produce a 22-degree halo. Mostly clear skies near Chattanooga gave people a good view. And out west, the moon lit up the Sierra Nevada mountains on the outskirts of Reno.
For more content like this, follow the National Weather Desk on TikTok.
Do not worry. Well, fire departments across Maryland say volunteers are needed now more than ever. Coming up in tonight's Assignment America, the recruitment and retention issues departments are facing. So often, it is volunteer firefighters who play a key role in keeping us safe. But right now, departments across Maryland are struggling to find and retain enough volunteers. Fox 45's Olivia Dance investigates what's causing the recruitment and retention issues and what's being done about it.
When a call comes in, the crews at the Ellicott City Volunteer Fire Department jump into action.
As an on-call agency, we're constantly responding to on a moment's notice. So an emergency can happen any time of day, any time of year. So we're here to support.
An important part of the department is volunteer firefighters like Adam Sowers.
I work part-time, and I come up here more than I work, more than I go to college, just because I love it. I love the relationships, and I love just getting out there helping the community.
Robin Zivotek, chief of the Ellicott City Volunteer Fire Department, says they're always looking for volunteers.
Volunteers are always needed, usually after the first alarm fire, so after the first major incident, and then we can upstaff for hours and even days at times. When Ellicott City flooded, we had crews around the clock to support the career staff, and then any other major incidents in the county, we come back and support.
But recruiting volunteers is a challenge.
And I feel like a lot of that has to do with the current economy. People really just need to be working for money.
Kate Lovelace, executive director for the Maryland State Firemen's Association, is part of a commission to present survey results and data about staffing to the General Assembly.
I feel like it's going to show a lot of good specifics and bring to light a lot of things that, we're needing from our partners and our support system within Maryland State.
Back in Ellicott City, they too are constantly looking for volunteers.
We're constantly turning down fire prevention and other sorts of events, community events that they're looking for, just because we don't necessarily have the staffing for that.
But they're adapting their recruitment and retention strategies.
We're actually working on a new program right now where we're revamping our recruitment and retention efforts and even our training processes to try and keep up with what is a modern volunteer fire department.
Evolving to keep the Ellicott City Fire Department going strong for at least another 135 years. Reporting in Ellicott City, I'm Olivia Dance, Fox 45 News.
All right, let's check that 10-day forecast out. Good news. All this wet weather finally